My name is Alexey Molchanov. We're in Bahamas, vertical blue competition. And I just did a world record, 131 meter with monofin.
Plus 20. Alexey Molchanov, Russia, constant weights, 131 meters, dive time is 4:10, world record attempt.
This is amazing because he's done some big dives already, and all of these dives are cumulative. The body has to work very hard. He makes it look super easy, and it is not. It is very challenging.
So the first safety has met him deeper than we've seen other safeties meet.
The safeties will meet an athlete at 1/3 of their announced depth, and this team is very experienced, and so the safety met him at 40, second safety meeting him at 30.
Yeah, so the safeties are doing upwards of 40 dives in a day. I had the opportunity to speak with one of them, so.
All right, here he comes.
It took a lot, like more than I expected, 4.5 minutes. And before the dive, I I was aiming to have a lot of pleasure from this dive. I was just like, okay, I'm diving for joy. I'm not diving for the record. So my mind was really like to enjoy their free fall, their just the sense of like negative buoyancy and compression.
Looks like he's smiling. He's giving it the pirate eye.
White side.
White side! Incredible. Alexey Molchanov of Russia with a new world record. Astounding. Well done, Alexey.
Добрый день, уважаемые участники.
Good afternoon, dear participants in Dive Forum. My name is Timur Islyaev. I'm co-owner and CEO of GRT Consulting and also a freediver. Today it's my honor and privilege to moderate our discussion, which is dedicated to freediving, made in water. This is a very unusual and conventional topic for Dive Forum, seemingly, but economic development is connected to improving the living standards among the people, helping people to live longer, doing sports and getting necessary services. In that sense, sports is a driver for development. Today we're going to speak about a new kind of sports which every year gets more and more fans in its ranks. Freediving. Thousands of years ago, people were diving for pearls, for food and for better living. But now people are doing freediving in order to stay healthy, in order to make their leisure more diverse and just to travel. In 1960s, the first freedivers, professional athletes emerged who would be winning new depths. First, these would be the records in the vicinity of 30 meters, and today's record in freediving is 131 meters, and this is a world achievement, and the credit goes to the Russian freediving school, which cannot but impress a lot. The Russian freediving school is one of the most influential in the world. Today we're going to consider freediving from different sides. How, for instance, this kind of sports influence the popularization of sports in the Russian Federation, how you may develop tourism and see new countries, and how freediving influences all of us, and what role it plays in the modern world. I'm glad to welcome our friends and experts in the studio. Let me introduce to you Alexey Molchanov, 25 times record setter, freediver, and co-owner of Molchanovs International Company. Welcome. Alexey actually is the record setter. Maxim Urazov, Director, Department of Development of Physical Culture, Mass Sport, Ministry of Sports of the Russian Federation. Maxim, thank you for your time. Vladimir Voloshin, Managing Partner, Newman Sport, and co-founder of Hefting Einstar Rosa Run. Vladimir, glad to see you. And last but not least, Lidia Drobysh, Russian Freediving Federation project producer, founder of Pilots Agency, Communications Agency. Before I pass the floor to our speakers, I would like to turn to our viewers. I suggest that you take part in our poll. We are going to show it, and at the end of the session we'll sum it up. The poll consists of the following question. Freediving for you is, and you have several options. First of all, diving with the retention of breath, sports and records, underwater meditation, development of self-control, rehabilitation, or all things taken together. We kindly ask you to follow the discussion, and you're invited to answer the questions, and I will tell you the results end of the session. First, I would like to pass the floor to Alexey Molchanov. Alexey, you are a real legend. On a regular basis, you are setting Guinness records in Lake Baikal in the Bahamas, and the global freediver stars are using your equipment. And setting records is a quite tribal thing, a very mundane thing. What freediving is for you? Can you tell us what it is for you? And secondly, why people are enjoying retaining their breath? This is a very interesting question. Tell us how freediving is developing in the world in Russia. Can you share some comments on that in your contribution? Thank you so much. I will tell you what freediving in Russia and around the globe is and why it is important for the people who'd like to dive with different purposes. There are multiple purposes which might be addressed by freediving. Staying healthy or addressing your fears. I will try within 10 minutes to tell you about freediving. Let me start with the historical trip. Actually, freediving started 1,000 years ago. It started with just diving for food. Prior to scuba, it was the only way to plunge into the water in order to get some food. There were also some military purposes. And people would be diving for scallops, for pearls. And there are some traditional settlements in Indonesia, in Polynesia, in Japan, who actually would be producing not only food, but also pearls. And freediving is one of the most ancient kinds of actions. And in 1941, Drobysh bet that he would dive to the depths of 30 meters, and it was an official record. Probably people would dive even deeper, but it was not registered. Greek sailor supposedly went to the depth of for about 70 meters, but it was not confirmed. Then freediving developed as a sport. Certain rules were set, and the modern freediving is actually the one which can be somehow practiced in a swimming pool or in the open sea. So you can dive to the depths, or just as to how long you can retain your breath. I prefer to dive to the depths. But retaining the breath is one of the most affordable practices, and this is kind of a therapy, meaning this is how you can address your stress, you can relax. I'll tell you more about the records. Drobysh dived to the depth of 30 meters and then actually equipment actually would be used in order to dive, and Karol's Costa set a record of 102 meters in 2004, and I set a record of 131 meters back in 2021. But actually we can use different pieces of equipment in order to dive, and next stage, for instance, flippers, flippers we can use, and fins. And this is what affects the health of the freediver. Many scientists working to, for instance, identify how freediving affects a person, the oxygenation of our blood. And oxygenation of blood gives very interesting information to the scientists, to the academics. Because this is not something you can get in hospitals, for instance. Freedivers offer a unique opportunity for the academics to look into such uncharted waters. It's very difficult actually to retain breath for 5 minutes, but actually every man has totally undiscovered potentials. Freediving offers an opportunity to any person, even having some phobias, or without being a professional, may retain enough oxygen in the lungs to dive deep. So actually we're not breathing with the whole stockpile of oxygen in the lungs. Actual lungs retain only 20 to 30% of the oxygen, and most of oxygen is carried by blood. These are the opportunities, and which are not some superstitious. And freediving is very motivating, and you may enjoy that, and doing that very quickly. And this is what motivates you to get trained more. Besides, to stay healthy, actually, this is very good for cardiovascular diseases, for vessels, blood vessels, because free diving poses more load onto your vessels, cardiovascular system, because the blood would be distributed the way that it saturates your heart, saturates your brain. That's very good for your health, and it gives very good effects. And psychologically, it's also very good, because free diving is accompanied by lots of stress. And once you run that stress appropriately, and we use a special methodology which was proposed by my mother, Molchanov, it is based on a gradual step-by-step mastering of certain skills without overdoing overtraining. So you do several sets of exercises to avoid exhaustion, and then the effect would be quite right. Freediving will reset your mind, your brain. People enjoy water usually and would feel fresh and relaxed, but after freediving, you will feel like born again. And our colleague will tell you more about that, and my students tell me the same thing. Next slide, please. That's about safety. Freediving is safe and affordable kind of sports. And you can calculate the risks. Freediving certainly is prone with certain dangers and risks. There are risks which actually make us dive along with a sidekick. Just once we have to face some natural phenomena such as mountains, and I know mountains very well, but at sea actually there are waves and streams, therefore you need a sidekick. Therefore, both in the swimming pool and in sea, we are diving along with a sidekick, with a partner, and you can do that anywhere, in any water body. And it means that not necessarily have to dive in some specialized swimming pools. You can use any swimming pool. Well, the very first steps, such as retention of breath can be done in an ordinary swimming pool. The basic retention of breath without moves, you don't have to be able to swim, you don't have to keep fit, just 1 meter deep swimming pool is enough and you just retain your breath, but you have to be controlled and supervised by a coach. First of all, you have to study how your psychology works, how you react to the breath retention. You can do that in an ordinary small swimming pool. After that, once you gain more self-confidence, you go to a specialized swimming pool, you train the skills, how to redistribute your potential, redistribute your force. So just retention of breath without move, with move, and going into the depth.
In the world, there is a lot of development. There are many schools. There are over 25 or 30 countries, and there are more and more of them. Our school, Molchanov school, is used in most countries. In the majority of countries where they are most actively used are shown on the map: the US, Mexico, Russia, Croatia, other European countries, and in Russia. In Russia, the most active region is Moscow, and I would say that Russia on this world map is one of the most active countries, although Russia is surrounded by cold seas. But the development came from Moscow because in Moscow people traveled a lot, and so they learned freediving skills to get ready for their travels. Now you can find people, freedivers in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Vladivostok, all the way to Vladivostok, Sochi, Rostov, and other cities. As regards their methodology, well, in the world there are 7 methodologies, and the Molchanov school is the most important, and we are just starting growing. You see that about 300 coaches, Molchanov coaches in Russia alone. We know that the infrastructure is being actively developed all over the world. Thank you very much. Alexey will, I think we'll come back to certain questions. I believe that this year new deep pools will be opened in the Leningrad region. They're going to open such pools. Yes, so there are such plans. So far, Russia has fewer swimming pools than in the rest of the world. Nowadays, in the world, there are less than a dozen such pools in the world. And in Russia, we are just planning to build one at a 30-meter deep meter, and there are also plans for other also in other regions. So the deepest pool is in the world is in Dubai, and in Moscow there is the Emercom pool, which is 12 meters deep. It is an excellent excellent place to get ready for travels, but we should have we should have more of them, because everywhere in the world where you have more pools, you have more freedivers. It's excellent, but it's obvious that this sport is becoming more and more popular among the active part of the people, and in this respect, it is difficult to exaggerate the role of the state, which is a very important part of the infrastructure and supports people striving to be healthy and sporty. But it is difficult to have a lot of sports activities without infrastructure. And now I would like to give the floor to Maxim Urazov. What, in your opinion, how promising is freediving as a sport? Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. And here we will have people who support this area. A few figures. We have a strategic objective. We want 70% of our population by the year 2030 be going in for sports and physical training. It is very good for health. And it is important that new sports appear, new kinds of sports appear, and they stimulate people of new categories to be active. And I believe that freediving is a new wave which could be further developed. It is important that we have such people, such heroes, and it is wonderful that they are made in Russia, and so they promote not only the sports but also human qualities, because when you name meters, how deep you dive, it seems really unbelievable. But when you have a special technology, systematic training, you can achieve wonderful results. What you are doing is perhaps practically impossible for most people, but in order to replicate your experience so that ordinary people could also learn, and my colleague will speak, we both look young, but in the middle age, people do not go in for sports very much because they are too busy with their work and family, and many of them forget about the sports. And so middle-aged people are our new focus. And I think that freediving is one of the examples of combining a certain degree of risk, a certain degree of self-overcoming. There's also the tourist element. Many colleagues we work a lot with Rostourism. People believe that international events promote tourism. No, it is physical training events, winter sports, skiing, water sports, etc. All this serves to promote sports. And even inside of this country, we are discovering more and more places in this country where we take part in various sports events. It is very important to be able yourself to take part in some event and to show by your own example that it is possible. If I hadn't known you, I wouldn't have believed that that is possible. But now, as I know you and I know my good colleague Alexey, I know that this is a wonderful sport which is very good for all categories. So it is a very important element. It is important to have new emerging sports. It is important for people to react to challenges. Of course, you need additional infrastructure, for example, an open, deep pool. And I know that not all units of the federation have chapters of your federation. So we should develop this sport at all ages: schools, school children, university students, etc. If they start early, they will never stop doing it. And you are quite right when you say that it is impossible. Also, that it is very important to have such significant places in Russia where some regular sports events are conducted. For example, the Moscow Marathon, or for example, people can go to Lake Baikal, for example, where there is a regular event, or some other place where they're taking their families along. But of course, here we are mostly focusing on freediving, not on sports in general. It is very important also to develop family forms of this sport, because when children show the example, they can spend some time together, and we now understand that freediving gives an opportunity to travel together, to take important photos for social media, to show yourselves, to promote yourselves, etc., etc. So people will not just go to the sea, to an all-inclusive hotel and spend and idle about on a beach. They can go to sports events to be active and to try it in various forms. And I think that's why mass events are very important. They are more important than the professional sports of great records. And we will do everything that we can to help promote freediving, because we have the necessary people, the enthusiasts, and of course it is also important to fight against COVID. The lungs, the oxygen is something that is very important. I think we should study it, and perhaps we should force people to do freediving, because why not? Because if it gives you new skills, it helps you to recover from an illness, then it is wonderful, wonderful. I'm very glad that there are such people who promote with great enthusiasm, smiling and with shining eyes. Thank you. I would like to add something to what you have just said. Speaking about the freediving, yes, age is something that passes away, that passes very soon. But in any case, freediving is a sport for people of various ages, children, young people, and even people with disabilities. There's para-freediving. I think Alexey will speak about that. Maxim, I would like to ask you, would you like to try it yourself? What do you think about it? Well, I expected this question, of course, frankly speaking, when we talked yesterday with you, but I was not ready, because I think there is a certain stereotype which I will have to destroy, because when you have a basic acquaintance with some type of sports, you think that you need to start earlier. But now when I have seen that there are no age limits, I would, of course, try it. I don't promise that during our next meeting in the panel, I will tell you that I have dived 2 or 3 meters deep, but I think that it is a very interesting technology. It's just something new. In any case, I have never tried anything like this. For me, it is a new challenge. And I, frankly speaking, like such challenges. I don't want big records. I want just to overcome myself. It is not even necessary to compete with someone else. Just try to overcome yourself. And then after that, you can compete with your colleagues. But I think that we should not chase records. We should not be too ambitious. Just do it regularly, not to abandon it. So potentially, I'm glad I would be ready to do it. Maxim, thank you very much. I think that our session is useful. Or if we have a new freediver in our community, so we will promote freediving. among the population. So I would like to answer, by way of answer, I would like to say that freediving is about relaxation and pleasure, and you can move with the speed that you find comfortable. It's a great pleasure. I'm also very glad that we have Vladimir Voloshin here. He's also a legendary man. He's the finisher of 19 Ironman. And Vladimir is widely known in the sports community and among the businessmen. So I would like to ask you, what is the role of sports, including freediving, in event tourism? Because COVID limitations are here, but nonetheless you can discover the world, the country, with the help of freediving. Can you tell us about your first experience of freediving? Thank you very much, Timur. Speaking of sports events tourism, it would be interesting to look at what happened in the past. What happened before 2020 was really wonderful. The global sports event tourism was the fastest growing part of the tourism industry. It was about $800 billion, and every year it increased by 10%, and 78% of sports tourists chose open-air events.
That means that we could come up with lots of cause and effect conclusions why this happened. Lots of people traveled just for the sake of their new goals, which emerged in the agenda. If we take these cyclical kinds of sport, for instance, Ironman made people be motivated 365 days and incorporate the training into their business processes. For just this big event, a whole family would get together and would go to a new city, new location, new country. And it was not just about sports, but it was about microtourism. It was micro-vacation, speaking about some local tourists. Getting in touch with the country through sports, through positive emotions. When people said that Russia is not what the TV tells us about, this is about emotions, about great infrastructure, which, by the way, we inherited after some mega sports events such as Olympic Games, Universiade in Krasnoyarsk, in Kazan, Yekaterinburg, great beautiful nature, and we created these hallmark business cards, so to say, which help people to learn more about Russia. And we used to say that people rather learn about Russia through events and sports, because we do a lot of great things, and it is full of very positive emotions, and people are sharing that with the people around them. We saw such rise in this industry probably 6 to 7 years ago. We saw such a splash, so to say. Some amateur events emerged, them swimming in the open sea, rough sea. 5 triathlon organizers emerged, and we got the very first product, which we now are exporting our product to other countries of the world. And now we're embracing about several dozens of countries. And once some new country opens up on your location, for instance, Tereberka in the north or the Baikal Lake in the east, it is followed by lots of tourists. And this is about a community, not a component. Every kind of sports would generate not only values, but also it brings about the communication between the people of common values. So there is place for spouse, for children, for families, and people get together not just to overcome some hardships, but in order to discover a country next. 2020 showed the following: sometimes we live without thinking that we are now on the territory of the biggest open-closed country. We have Kamchatka, Altai, and Black Sea, and everywhere you can arrange such sports events. I know Alexey for several years, and I understood that the more people found a free diving emerge around him, actually, the sooner we will get in touch. And in 2020, at the age of 46, I made my first free dive. Before, I had some just theoretical knowledge, but immediately we started training from the basic boot camp training in the Arctic Sea. The first experience has to be positive always, and it totally changed my world. I actually couldn't imagine that I have so much potential that I can actually dive to the depth of -10 at such a temperature, and I felt that I have a buddy or a sidekick, a coach who accompanied me, and I discovered a new world. These discoveries at quite mature age reminded me that, in essence, we try to postpone a lot of things for the future without doing that now, and we are not surprising ourselves, but an adult, as Maxim said, who is of middle age, has a family, and some routine, mundane duties, it's very difficult for them to get out of that vicious circle. And now we, with their friends, plan to go to Murmansk region. Why? I learned that my spouse, my sister and my friends have never been to Murmansk yet. I thought, okay, through my hobby they can see what we do have in the country. Getting back to the events and sports-based tourism, actually we as organizers of sports events, we are arranging such things which would boost the economy of the region, and this economy lies in small and medium-sized enterprises, starting from taxi cabs, hotels, restaurants, cafes, souvenir producers, and the rest, who become the ultimate beneficiaries from the events which are taking place in the regions. We no longer are saying that we are organizers of triathlon. No. We are creating new economy. Once a sport event is arranged and athletes arrive along with 4 fans each, then the region is promoted, some small village is supported, a small city on the banks of a small river would also be boosted, and people enjoying a sport event would return to that place, for instance. If actually a person went on diving in Lake Baikal in summer, he would return in winter, etc., etc. We see that people are coming back, and thanks to one sports event, this entails a long-term economy. People disseminate information. At the time, back in 2016, I think we held the first event in the city of Kazan in Tatarstan. And very demanding audience arrived, and we learned that 70% of them visited Kazan for the first time in their life, and they traveled around half of the globe. In 2022, 2023, while the situation is so unstable and you cannot go outside the country, our objective is to help people find beautiful water bodies and lakes in Russia, learning them. We have the Far East, and a person may get new trophies, no praise in the vault of his impressions, and that would rehabilitate him mentally. A person would say, okay, I love these kind of sports and I'm confident of my force. Well, freediving is about the development of psychophysical potential of a man and regaining the internal balance. You spoke about your first experience of diving in the Barents Sea. My question goes to Alexey. How do you start freediving the right way? How much time it takes in order to learn certain basic skills? How many days it takes? Is it very labor-intensive? Not everyone would go to the Barents Sea. Some people love warmer waters, such as the Black Sea. There is the basic route, the swimming pool, retaining your breath on shore in a classroom, so you get some basic theoretical knowledge. After that, you go to the shallow water swimming pool, then to the deeper swimming pool, and then you dive deeper. Vladimir had some experience of self-control, and therefore he could make it immediately for the Barents Sea, but this is an unconventional choice. You'd rather start with warm water. So there are people who come to us with some water phobia, especially ones who got drowned in childhood. And then people master these skills and raise their self-confidence, and it takes not months but days when they understand that now I can. And people who would be afraid of the depths of 5 meters, sometime after they may travel to some new places, and those who were afraid of some sea creatures, now you can interact with these creatures more freely in the forest. For instance, we have very beautiful places with walruses, with whales, and this is worth watching. And there are free divers who can interact with the whales and with sharks. And shark is not dangerous, that this is a stereotype. But you'd rather dive in totally transparent water. I had such experiences swimming along with the whales and with the sharks. And the sharks would approach you and would do you no harm. There is a stereotype. Actually, sharks are dangerous in polluted water or in murky water because they can confuse you with some food. There is another tale, another solution. Actually, we have a free diving school for children of 5 years, and we can take adults along with the children both in Russia and abroad. In Moscow region we have boot camp near city of Ruza. Children love to dive, and children love diving more than they love swimming. And when children are diving, parents have to do that as well. And again, the age ranges from 5 to 100. I have students more than 80 years old who take part in the Russian championships. And one of our students, Sergei Veruchkin, 80 years old, neurosurgeon, took part in such a competition, and he loves to dive longitudinally. And so he uses monofins, and he somehow swims underwater about 200 meters. So it means that you can start just in a couple of days. This is the boot camp course for safe and secure, how you retain your breath, and you can become part of the free divers community. And along with your family, along with your friends, you can go out traveling, diving. So there are certain stages of developing free diving skills, so some theoretical knowledge and then some training course, a very intensive one which takes several days, and another actually more intensive exercises, and between them you get practicing. You actually get practicing in the swimming pool and in the rough sea, and you can get all those badges, the levels, and it boosts your motivation up. Well, thank you. And in that respect, we see that free diving year on year becomes more and more popular. There is a kind of a competition, a kind of a contest. there is a competition not only between the athletes but also between the countries which are building deeper and deeper swimming pools. And I do hope that Moscow will outperform Dubai. And that's great. Along with the development of freediving, we see that the interest of people goes up. Movies which are being produced and posts in social media and articles in the media also attracts a lot of attention to freediving. Freediving is about sightseeing, about tourism. Lydia, can you tell us what could be the role of new media in promoting sports, especially freediving? I know that there is another very interesting project which actually is quite popular, not only in Russia, for instance. Alexey Molchanov's record set in Lake Baikal when he dived to the depths of 80 meters was acclaimed all over the world. Well, actually, freediving is not just sports. This is a lifestyle. I'm doing freediving. I'm not an athlete myself, but this is with great pleasure that I'm doing that, and I love this lifestyle and this sports. And I think that for many people, this is not just about physical health and mental health. That's true, but this is about emotional health. Freedivers love to travel because this is unique opportunity to dive deep or not too deep, but to see the world from different angle. In order to do that, you don't need scuba, you don't need specific equipment. It is enough just to buy mask and the fins. And we do a lot of events recently which are aimed at popularizing freediving just for the sake of enjoyment. Traveling and freediving is about enjoyment. And you know that Alexey last year set a record which is registered by Guinness Book, diving to the depth of 80 meters. The ambient temperature was -7 and the temperature water there was +8. We were supported by the region of Irkutsk, and this record was acclaimed all over the world, and the national media were writing about that. They called Alexey a Superman, and you see on the presentation on the left-hand side, this picture was made by an excellent diver, Mr. Ligushkin, for National Geographic, and Alexey is not diving. This is just for the sake of a picture. So Lake Baikal right now has become a magnet for free divers all over the world who'd like to come to that lake. I hope that it will come true next year, probably. And best case scenario, it will happen this year. Next event, which we also arranged for free divers, that's Kabardino-Balkaria, Lake of Cherek-Kil. What a free diver needs? Just a dressing room and sauna. Sauna, this is a must. Well, the water is freezing cold. This is a karst lake. It means that the temperature is +9 degrees around the year. We held the very first Russian events, getting about 15 freedivers from Russia, including one para-freediver. Certain national records were set, and besides there were lots of female records, but this is a topic for another session. We need one more hour to do that, and this year we are going to hold another such an event, Cherkul. That's a great lake. I highly recommend it to you. So it's marked with blue water. And certainly I cannot but tell you about the major event, which is called Vertical Blue, which was set up 15 years ago. This is the most prominent freediving event, and Alexey set 4 global records and attracted attention of the whole world to that, because there is something to be proud of.
I don't know how many athletes were there. 40. Oh, Mexico, the US, China, where freediving has been developed very much. Korea, I was surprised that in Korea it was very popular. Japan, many such things. There were 4 world records, 131 meters. I just looked for myself. What is it? 131 meters. You have to not just to dive, but to go up. So it is 262 meters, and the new building of the Moscow University in Sparrow Hills is 240 meters. So about the same. The American press was enthusiastic. They were surprised that Alexey Molchanov, a Russian athlete, made such a record, and within 5 minutes Alexey showed to an American journalist how to do free dive, and she managed after 5 minutes to dive. So I don't know how he managed it. The New York Times was very much interested in it. Many foreigners were very much interested in Alexey and in Russia. They asked why the greatest free diver is in Russia. So what are we going to do next year? Chirikol, I have already mentioned it, and there will be first on the ice competition in the White Sea. We want also to go to Murmansk, and the White Sea is about 4 or 5 hours from Murmansk. There is a base there where we can have a festival and under ice competition. The Arctic, Franz Josef Land archipelago, we are going to dive there. Then the Bahamas, Dubai, and in Tonga there will be swimming with whales. So free diving gives you an opportunity to see the underwater world. And as regards to the cinema, Timur has mentioned, I think everybody know the Deep Blue Sea, the first film about free diving. And in 2020 there was another film, a Russian film, One Breath. It is about Victoria Molchanov, and the main role was played by Victoria Sakova. She liked it very much. And this year, Avatar 2 will also come out. It is also about free diving. It will happen. The scene will be set underwater, and Kate Winslet has taken free diving lessons, and so she now can hold her breath for 7 minutes and 14 seconds, and she will play there without any. She will play herself or this role. Even the diving. And there were also some announcements for a foreign streaming platform, and I think that this will be this will happen because Alexey's popularity and freediving popularity is growing very, very fast. Lydia, you are telling such a wonderful story. I want to go with you to Dubai and to the cold regions, and I see that people can dive both in the cold sea and in the warm sea. Everyone can find what he wants, and of course it's very impressive that this is so much relevant for the cinema. And now we know that Avatar is about freediving. It's Avatar 2. It's a new dimension. And I would like to ask everyone here, dear guests, Tell me, please, what do you think? What has freediving given to you personally? Perhaps you would share some of your feelings, of your states. What has how did it help you in your everyday life? What's the most important that the freediving has given you? Perhaps something new for your work. For me, it is something that I have been doing since my early childhood, since I was 5 years on the Black Sea. Now, every year we went to the Black Sea, we dived to take seashells, and somewhat later I began to get real training. So freediving teaches you to relax in stressful situations. I use it for life, for our work, because I am also a businessman. I manage a company, and I also have stressful moments, and freediving helps me, because in freediving you have to stay calm, otherwise you overuse your oxygen. So it is a very important thing. It is something which helps you to keep yourself in hand and stay calm. Lydia, for me, freediving is also something which helps me to survive in stressful situations. I have started doing it 2 years. I started doing it for 2 years ago, so I'm not a great athlete like Alexey, but I can say that due to this sport, I managed to stay calm in stressful situations. Before that, I couldn't do this. We live in a very emotional world where there is a lot of information, gadgets, and sometimes in all this confusion, you lose your emotional balance, and freediving helps you to recover it. Vladimir? Well, I think Maxim is only on the way. I have just taken my obligations just for the future, for prospects. So freediving has already given me something, so I think I will do it. For me, freediving is the discovery of 2021. Since I met Alexey a few years ago, it has happened so that the number of people I know became free divers, and they all insisted that I should go to a pool and try it. When there was an opportunity to dive in the Barents Sea, so I thought that is going to be my greatest opportunity. That will be my first experience. And before that, I dived only with scuba on Lake Baikal under the ice. And so freediving was cold for me. And my second discovery was that northern seas were so beautiful. And the third thing, what happened to my organism? I had never thought that my organism could be restarted in such a way. Later, it was explained to me that my organism was changed because my lymph was drained, and I had the effect of 3 hours of sports massage. So when you dive like this, then your then your state of health changes. I like this, and so I wanted to become part of our family leisure. And my daughter is a swimmer, and she prefers diving to swimming. So perhaps we shall dive together with her in a pool and later in some open water. And so her dad will surprise her once again. So I hope that this year will bring only pleasant discoveries and experiences to all the participants and to all who are following us. Freediving to those who try it for the first time, it is overcoming your own fears. If you fear deep water, it is also something new that you can try. And by way of drawing the conclusion of our conversation, I would wish that you all try free diving, and I also suggest that you look at the results of our poll, which we started, and so we asked people, what did freediving give you? And so our viewers gave the same answers that you have given. They spoke about the positive effect for their health, and we have heard from our experts that too. And also it is underwater meditation and development of self-control. And so despite the fact that we have Alexey Molchanov and Vladimir Voloshin here, the sports and sports records have not been mentioned, and I believe that this is good, because you shouldn't be thinking about records at the very beginning. So in order to be a good diver, you should relax, and everything will come to you. So I think you shouldn't be too focused on making records, but just practice it calmly. So, friends, thank you very much for having found the time to come here. I would like to thank all the viewers and participants of the forum. I wish you health and success in this new year, and our freediving community is waiting for you. So, ой, как же они все надоели. Ой, а зачем я забираю эти наушники? Я не могу понять, зачем я их забрал. Фу. Здравствуйте.